Hello, you're listening to Truth Be Told About Going Wild. I'm your host, Robert Hensley, and this is the podcast inspired by the principles of personal rewilding. Personal rewilding is something that is very near and dear to my heart. While you might remember me as the host of Truth Be Told's Minuteman Report, I am also a certified sound therapist, meditation leader, and personal rewilding coach. Personal rewilding comes from nature conservationists, right? The word rewilding refers to a site that has been allowed to go back to the wild or go back to its natural state. And for people, we can go back to our natural state. It's important for us to remember that generations and generations ago, mankind did not live alongside nature or outside of it or lord over it. We are natural beings. We are from nature. So our relationship with nature is genetic. It started way back and we carry that forward. And so our goal is to reclaim that natural connection. Why would we want to do that? Well, for a lot of people in today's society, it's easy to feel lost, to feel as if they don't belong, that there is no space for them on this planet. It leads to a lot of depression and anxiety, sometimes rage. We also find that we're working long hours in fluorescent lit cubicles, that we're not following any sort of natural order in our lives. It can lead to a lot of health problems. And what we're trying to do is get back to a state, a natural state, where that is no longer the case. So there are 4 founding principles of personal rewilding: the wild self, wild rhythms, wild actions, and wild ancestors. And those are supported by principles of ecopsychology, which is an offshoot of modern psychology, which is the study of the lack of exposure to the natural world on humans. It also includes base concepts of ecotherapy, which are those activities which trigger sensory experiences in nature. And part of the reason, again, that we want to go through this process, to adopt this practice, is number one, to feel a greater sense of belonging, right? We don't want to wallow in this sense of eco-anxiety, eco-depression, and eco-rage. We want to live balanced and harmonious lives. And in order for us to do that, we need to go back to the beginning. And that's what personal rewilding does for us. And with that, through the practice of personal rewilding, we find that there are physical and mental benefits, which have been scientifically proven, right? Things such as lowered heart rate, lowered cortisol production, increased immunity, increased energy and productivity. We find that it reduces anxiety and stress, that we find increased mental clarity and acuity. We have increased memory and retention. And now they're saying that spending time outside, feeling connected to nature, can actually alleviate the symptoms of ADHD and PTSD. And overall, it leads, again, to a more balanced and harmonious life. So that's what this podcast is going to share. We're going to talk about the pillars of rewilding, how they work, how we can put tools and techniques into practice in our daily lives to help get us closer to nature, back to the natural world. So if we look at the first pillar, wild self, what is that? It's about acknowledging that kind of innermost recessed layer of ourself. It's the part of us that remembers that we come from nature, that we already have a connection to nature. Then pillar 2, wild rhythms, is again our acknowledging that everything in the universe is cyclical, that those cycles, those natural rhythms kind of rule the lifespan of everything in the universe, and we're the only beings right now that are trying to fight against those cycles. Um, we also then have wild action, which is really just um, allowing ourselves to understand our role in nature, which is to be stewards, right? And stewardship meaning loving care, providing loving care to our environment, to helping other people in our communities to also find ways of being good stewards. And then wild ancestors, again, because we have to honor past generations and look at how they lived with the natural world, how our relationship to the natural world has been formed over time, and what we can do now in rekindling this relationship with nature, how that will affect future generations in our line. Um, and I want to start by saying, I say that I want to start with, we're not just starting, but I want to say that in all of this, I'm not saying that anyone is broken, right? I'm saying that we have, as a society, been conditioned to ignore our connection to the natural world, right? We live in a society that has conditioned people to support a global industrialized system. And while that's great for an economy and for capitalism, it's not exactly healthy for us, for the beings that are the cogs in the wheel, right? Um, and so it is far better for us to try to find some balance between our natural state and our industrialized state so that we can be not just better employees and more productive and be uh, more of what the industrialized complex wants, but also so that we're serving ourselves and that we're not just serving, you know, the master money. Um, so, over the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about these principles independently. We're going to be discussing some of the tools and techniques that are used to help reconnect to the natural world. We're also going to look at stories from the health and wellness space. We're going to talk about environmental and conservation issues. We're also going to discuss cultural and sacred land practices. There are fantastic organizations and indigenous groups that are doing amazing, amazing work to save their local environments, to share stewardship or the joy of stewardship with young people and in their communities. And we want to highlight those stories. And I have to say thank you to Tony Sweet, who is the founder of Truth Be Told and the Truth Be Told family of shows. Tony, who hosts the original Truth Be Told every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm sorry, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern on UBN, on the Club Paranormal channel on YouTube. Bonnie Burkert, who hosts Truth Be Told Transformations on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern. And, you know, for a long time, the Minuteman Report was in this time space, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern on Mondays. And they have kindly allowed me to shift our content a little to give that space now as a home for Truth Be Told about going wild. Please, if you haven't already subscribed, go to the Club Paranormal channel on YouTube and subscribe so that you can always be in the know with our new content. And if you'd like to know more about what I'm doing and Robert Hensley Nature Reconnect is working on in the world, please feel free to visit my website at www.rhnaturereconnect.com. Again, that's rhnaturereconnectaltogether.com. And I look forward to sharing more and more stories and information with you about personal rewilding. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me via email at robert at IamRobertHensley.com. Again, that's Robert at IamRobertHensley.com. Or you can reach me through the website, which is again www.rhnaturereconnect.com. Until next time.